There we go. Welcome everybody to this Tuesday's postgraduate support group meeting. I'm Leni Liebenberg and I'm very happy to be hosting this particular session as part of the UKZN Postgraduate Academy. So today's discussion is the second in a series that's dedicated to wellness. And the series is hosted and championed by the wonderfully informative and supportive CHS Student Support Services team. Today we have in hand Sue Stokes, I think Willie Thavers on the call as well, and Nandi. So we are very well supported within this particular section. Last week, if I remember correctly, we discussed the concepts of wellness and the wellness continuum and promoting success by investing in wellness. And today is another hot topic, balancing of work and life and studies. I mean, I was just saying earlier, some people think that it gets easier to accomplish with age, with experience. I mean, I don't think so. I have firsthand experience of that not being the case. So I am really looking forward to this particular session, to learning from you, to learning from the team, sharing my experiences as well. We're all doing this together. That being said, this is also a very informal session. So please feel free to place your comments, your questions in the chat box. Raise your hand if you'd like to raise your voice. Use those reaction icons, emoticons to express yourself otherwise in a constructive and supportive way, as we do within the session. And that's it. I guess those are the ground rules for this meeting. And with that very short intro, I'll hand over to the SSS team. Welcome, Sue Stokes. Thank you very much for taking the time to meet with us, to join with us today and speak to us about work and life and study balance today. Thank you.
It's such a pleasure, and thank you everybody for being with us live. And if you're watching the recording, you can play this as many times as you need. As Lenine mentioned, you know that sometimes it doesn't get easier, so sometimes we need a reminder. This is how things could be put back into balance, and that's what I'm hoping to share with you today. Is if you're doing things well, keep going at it, congratulations. But if you need to shift or change something, I hope that today's session is going to give you those tips and ideas that you need. So just to quickly introduce myself, I'm an educational psychologist and I'm based at medical school and I'm a student counselor. So let's quickly hop straight into it. So many students delay or completely avoid the decision to engage in further studies post their undergraduate, and while some may take that step to complete that next stage, either their honors, masters, even a second masters, PhDs, reasons for choosing to continue or not stems from many factors, both internal and external, such as the need to work and receive an income to provide for the family, or to continue studying as the workplace is saturated, or you're looking to specialize in a unique area within your career field. So if you feel brave and would like to share with us what your reason is, what motivated you to decide to go on this unordinary journey, please do so in the chat. This decision will either plague us daily and all the demands, or it may become a motivator. So let's look at managing the demands of this unordinary PG journey while considering work and family life. We all know that it is imperative to fit in balance for success in work, in our studies, and personal life. We will unpack this thing called balancing and what one tool you could use to manage your time, consider the priorities in all the areas in your life. I will unpack this tool called routine, and we will also unpack and pull together everything you have learned in the past sessions on the wellness continuum, mental health, and self-care. The benefits and gain are far and wide. You will notice you are able to maintain holistic wellness, positively self-manage and care for yourself and others, or be better ready to do things differently. Essentially, your mindset shifts in such a way that you succeed and balance all the areas of your life with ease, or rather, easier. So the PG journey, the unordinary journey, what's common. It's the emotions we feel while in this journey. Some of you may have post-undergraduate gone into the workplace with your career made up of many different experiences, challenges, and demands. And you may have also started living a life, building a family, fur babies or human babies, and come back to furthering your studies. For others, the transition in higher education from undergraduate to postgraduate just continued. Perhaps now feeling the burden of funding, pressure to complete studies, to obtain financial freedom, or pressure from family to start your own family. As we transition through this unordinary journey, you may question, how will I ever balance all these demands, expectations, and deadlines, and manage how I feel about them? So why study further? So an increasingly competitive job markets forced many students to continue with lifelong learning and pursue those postgraduate students. Other reasons may include choosing a career compromise or to build skills and knowledge in a specific field that allows you better career planning, a niche area, an area you've always envisioned yourself heading towards, or the field chose you. One thing is certain, we study further because we love it. And that should become the motivator why you're investing so much time in this thing called balance. All right, so regardless of why, before we said yes, we all had the same question. Is this an ordinary journey for me and for my family? So please do share in the chat space what you have noticed about your PG journey thus far. So you may have noticed your PG studies is demanding, fast-paced, requires a long-term commitment. Even if it's a year or 2 or 4, it might seem long. May require you to be more self-disciplined or self-motivated. Perhaps you're having to manage conflict, develop writing skills, managing your time. Thank you, I've got anonymous saying managing time, being mature, determined, and perhaps even it might infiltrate your family and workspaces. So just think a little bit about that. What would we need to better manage this unordinary journey and all the dimensions at play that surround this journey? And it's so important to be committed to this balance because it kind of aids you in this progress, along with performing at work, progressing in your studies, and living a good life. So it is important to be committed to self. When doing this balance thing between your work, study, and personal life, have a mini goal in mind, or have a goal in mind. Fitting in balance for success in work, studying, and personal life. We know it will not always be easy. So be patient and kind with yourself as you progress with this journey. So let's look at what this balance means. Okay, what is work-life balance and how can you achieve it? Work-life balance is part of self-care when juggling the responsibilities of your workday, home life, and relationships with your family members and other loved ones. Work-life balance is a term that makes intuitive sense to many of us, but can be elusive to achieve. Okay, so this work-life balance encompasses everything that goes into a well-lived life. So the expression work-life balance was first used in the late 1970s to describe the balance between an individual's work and personal life. When I saw that, I thought about, well, what did the other people pre-70s do to maintain this balance, and why now are we coining a term called work-life balance in the 70s? What happened then? Topic for another discussion, for another day. Further definitions then speak to managing factors, sort of like keeping things in equilibrium. With technology, many workspaces and cultures and expectations have changed. The result, a more integrated and fuzzier relationship between work and personal time. And we see this definition transitioning in the same ways that we've had personally in this transition. Essentially, the definition should include enjoyment, meeting work demands and requirements, and effectively managing our time. So So the search for work-life balance is a process in which people seek to change things while being mindful of their own priorities. We notice this when the work and home life environments shift and change for the worst, or remain stagnant when change is supposed to occur. So examples include working conditions, the demands, use of new technology, limited resources, poor leadership or management. It requires an ability to effectively manage the juggling act between work and the other activities that are important to you. What is important to you? What are you trying to effectively juggle between the work, the studying, and the life? Is it friends and family? Is it recreation? Is it spiritual? Is it your health? Is it your wellness? So this work-life balance struggles can diminish your overall happiness and well-being. So this is when work-life balance is unhealthy. All right, so you may notice feeling and thinking more negatively and experience less life satisfaction. And these are those adverse health consequences when the balance is unequal. It may even impact our ability to address factors that create that unbalanced work-study-life situation. Many people are caught in conflicts that make it hard for them to make changes to create the healthier and happier balance they would like. Being overworked, overstressed, lowered immunity, thus being sick, which results in absenteeism. A lack of work-life balance affects our attitude. We become less efficient due to a lower morale. There's a risk of burnout, and that increases, which directly affects our productivity. Essentially, we are going nowhere slowly. And time just carries on, nothing to show. Your life is happening to you rather than you managing your life. I'm not going to ask by show of hands who feels this way, but it is important to go through this to say, well, is my work-life study balance, kind of tilted? Is it in the wrong areas? So what is a balanced lifestyle? And I think it's just really important to just recap the main dimensions in this work-study-life balance. It refers to a lifestyle in which there's this healthy balance existing between the time and effort spent working, researching, being with friends and family, as well as self-care and personal pursuits. This offers you feeling balanced in all the facets of life. Add a balance of self-care, leisure, work, and rest, which are essential to healthy living. Take time after the session and plot for you what you need to balance and how much it needs from you, the kind of effort you need to place. So the power of routine. The routine is going to assist you in making that transition into that healthy balance that we saw previously. So routine assists you in managing the stresses and uncertainty in our daily lives. Stresses are dynamic and varying in intensity, and with the lack of structure, we may become overwhelmed. Presenting distress, be unproductive as it may impact our ability to complete tasks or transition from one task to the next, and impairs our ability to apply healthy coping strategies and skills. The routine encourages one to have a say over what they hope to have in their lives, to do, to have, to experience. And you may start finding time for yourself, finding pockets of time that you can devote to yourself, since everything in your life has had your attention throughout the day. You now get to be your own focus of attention. So why focus on keeping it balanced? So we gain so much from maintaining this balance. And I like what was referred to in the text. So we kind of know the aspects. This is kind of what you can gain by having these aspects of a healthy balance with a good routine. So since we find ourselves managing our time effectively in all areas of our lives, we experience better quality of life and so much more. I am mindful that routine can also be a hindrance when it becomes rigid. So a key element to routine making include that flexibility. It is so important. The unexpected happens, and your time needs to allow for those things to happen. So back to the gains. It helps to reduce stress and anxiety. You will avoid missing those important deadlines. It helps you to keep a balance in life. You can increase your productivity by using your time better. It helps you in achieving your goals. And these are all got to do with work, life, and studies. You will have more time to enjoy your work, life, study experience, and you will have more time to balance the other aspects of your life. You get to make meaningful contributions and impact others positively, and it increases life satisfaction. So there is just a few more on that slide that are really worth mentioning. So that routine offers balance. It speaks to giving attention to things at the right time, right place. And when we struggle to give attention, the first thing that's compromised out of our schedule is ourselves, our needs, our lunchtime, buying fast foods instead of cooking nutritious meals, multitasking at home, doing dishes while attempting to speak about the budget or other money matters, tucking kids to bed while signing their homework books. We miss so much. And this is why the balance and routine is so important. So be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself for doing it like that in the past. We can get it back. There is so much to get back. So we know what we can gain, what we can achieve just by resetting and setting it up right. So if what you're doing doesn't need changing, keep doing what works. So find out what works for you. Else, when we don't feel motivated to do things, it is very easy to procrastinate doing the other things. And these important things will continue to get pushed to the next day and the next and the next. So it is so imperative to find what works for you. So what happens when we happen to find ourselves bouncing from activity to activity, being distracted and unproductive, and not managing those procrastination or time wasters properly? And in 2 minutes, you can do this in your own time, or during the session, just unpack that procrastination, because this P word prevents all possible progress. Procrastination isn't about laziness. It's about fear. It's about perfectionism. It's about being overwhelmed. And we all experience these things. So why do we procrastinate? There are multiple reasons why this happens. So there's that fear of failure, fear of success, fear of autonomy, fear of being alone, fear of attachment. And we know that procrastination can lead to wasted time, missed opportunities, poor performance, and that increased stress and anxiety. So think a little bit about how can a routine and finding a balance help with limiting procrastination or managing it when it happens, because it does happen. It's only natural for it to happen. So making a routine to fit in family, work, study life can be sticky. Okay? Expect it to be nerve-wracking. Okay? It's because it's, not because you're doing it, wrong or not doing it right. It's a new experience. So take time and practice. Practice makes progress. So remember, it takes time, practice, and patience, just like any new skill. You need to learn how to do it, starting and sticking to a routine for you, your family, and others, such as friends and neighbors and those kinds of things, for yourself at work. Noting the limitations that all these environments may bring, we won't get it right straight away. So a routine is dynamic and ever-changing and requires creativity. It will take time and effort. The rewards, however, are great. And you may be pleasantly surprised with how great you will become, how much more calm, grounded, and at peace you will be and experience. And perhaps you may even enjoy the hard-to-do activities that creeps into our daily lives. So focus on the things that you can control. The key is to create a routine that adds structure and a sense of predictability to your day. And this is for all areas of your life: work, study, and home. So when things are certain, you know what is expected of you and what you are expecting from yourself. While setting up a routine, consider what is urgent, important, not important, and not urgent. And don't forget to add the things that are necessary, the things that you enjoy and that help you to live life. So imagine instead of this routine where you're going from one task to the next, arriving late to meetings, not being prepared for certain things. I'm thinking the one day I kind of forgot I was wearing my flip-flops and I had to walk back to the flat to go and put on proper shoes. So instead of a routine where you're rushing and not getting things done the way that they should, imagine a quiet morning before the kids get up, reading, meditating, or journaling. So to set that up, have a clear vision. Know what you are aiming to have balanced in your daily routine. What you are grounding your balance upon. So I have an instead of. So these are quick, simple tips in how you can set up a routine. Be realistic about how much time you have or spend on the different aspects of your life and your research and your family. Plan the next day the night before. Write it down, and that helps to kind of get it out of your head. Have a dedicated study space with minimal distractions. If you do get distracted by something else that you need to do, make a note of it, unless if it's an emergency, tend to it later. Set definite start and finish times and begin and end as you have planned. Allocate any unfinished work to another time. Do not ignore it. Find your own pace and do what works for you. Review your work. Postpone any unnecessary activities that you have until the work is done. Identify resources that can assist you and use your free time wisely. Reward yourself with things you enjoy, hanging out with friends. Do maybe a little bit of social media within moderation and enjoy those fun activities. So just allow yourself to have an idea as to what this vision would look like, how you're going to be maintaining this work-life study balance. Identify those priorities, set those time frames. You might even would like to have a balance mentor, telecommute, using technology to your advantage. Have a support system, learn those policies, MOUs, etc. Edit yourself personally and professionally. So go on that inner journey, that inner interpersonal journey and professional journey. Separate work and leisure. Earmark a special or separate time for working. Take a holiday and do not bring work home unless absolutely necessary, and enjoy life. So consider a life where you stick to work hours. This is that instead of. Manage resources and time effectively. Prioritize tasks. Get to say no to projects. When overwhelmed, you get to take those breaks, those necessary breaks. Have time to learn something new, develop or grow in. Connect with friends and family. So getting started, where does it begin? So sit down and write out everything you do each day, that as well as what you usually do in a week, and reflect. Reflect on what you can cut or reduce. You can do this for both the workplace and the family space, as well as your studies. You can also do this when recreating your self-care plan. See what you can set as a normal routine, i.e. something you do at a set time each day or week. So for example, weekly, every Tuesday morning you will do the family finances. Every Sunday you will plan the meals for the week. Every Wednesday it's soccer practice for you or for the kids. Every day at 1 o'clock you write something kind to yourself. So follow a routine that works for you. Consider your needs, emotional, physical, your physical health, mentally, spiritually, and financially, so that you can regain control over the things you can and be content with letting the things that can't change be. So making sure that routine works for you, set those goals, practice gratitude, staying active, whether it's exercising or engaging in leisure pursuits, setting time aside for hobbies and things you enjoy, setting up that weekly meal plan, having an eating schedule, especially for those busy days that you don't skip a meal, challenge your thinking, and rest well, not sleep. engage in self-care activities that revitalize and rejuvenate yourself. And I love what is being shared in the chat space. So yes, January is usually the time where we set those New Year resolutions, where we're going to do all things great. And by the end of Jan, we kind of like fizzle because we kind of realize those expectations of ourselves are too great. So it's kind of so important to revisit and go on that journey to say, okay, well, let's reset, let's refocus, let's redo our routine and see what is possible. Perhaps rewriting a few things instead of doing it daily. Some maybe once a week is still okay. So create those good habits, setting up those goals that we're hoping to achieve. So see that balance and wellness is interlinked. Positive mental health allows one to realize your potential, allows you to cope with stresses of life, work productively, and make meaningful contributions. And you get this by setting this routine that is so important, this balance between all these different compartments of our lives. As a result, you find yourself having to do well, live well, and be well. So don't forget to add that self-care that was shared last week. Okay. So yes, we all know what this sign means, potholes. So yes, let's caution it. Routines are our unique way to start the day. Don't let it become an exhaustive list of things to do. So I caution you, allow yourself to be better ready for the dynamicness of your life. So don't let, this balance or this routine just be a simple checklist or a to-do list. Allow it to work for you. And be consciously aware that you're probably more balanced than you think. At the start of the session, I posed the question of, on a rating scale of 1 to 10, how well balanced do you feel you are? If you had to re-rate yourself now, I'm sure that some of the things that I've alluded to kind of are the things you've been doing. Maybe not 100% fully invested or with a lot of effort, but you kind of started or have started, but it just kind of fizzled away. So know you've done it before. Know you can do it again. I have a couple of suggestions, books to read that I want to share with you. And these are simple to read, easy to follow books that kind of allow you to do some of the things that I've touched on and a bit more. So we've got the Atomic Habits, Do Nothing, the 5 a.m. Club, Can't Even How Millennials Became the Burnout Generation, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and the Power of Habit. So if you do have a book you would like to share, whether it's now live in the chat space or on the re-recording of YouTube, go and share it in the comment section. Let's share some books to read that can help this work-life study balance to be a little more, in equilibrium. Okay, so in summary, people often come at this like it's personal life versus work life, and you're just sort of figuring out the balance between these two, but it isn't a useful framework. It's really about your time overall and investing in what makes you happy, irrespective of which dimension it sits in. So ensure that you fit in time doing the things you enjoy. It will make the things you don't enjoy a little more bearable. When work or home or study begin, especially when work or home or study becomes hard to do. Be realistic about how much time you have or available to spend on the different aspects of your life. Plan for the next day the night before. Write it down. It helps, again, to take it out of your head. If you get distracted by something, make a note of it. Start with the definite start and set definite start and finishing time. Begin and end as you plan, and learn to say no. So making sure that you don't do things just too much or too little, just right. So when setting up that plan and that routine to manage that work-life study balance, just know what is the right amount. I love the quote about happiness isn't just about making time for simple daily moments of joy. It's about freeing up space for the things that contribute to our feelings of overall life satisfaction, where you get to enjoy life. So if at any time I have shared anything that you would like to unpack with the student support services, a student counselor, How to get in contact with us? You can call us on the toll-free line on 080-080-0017 and set that appointment. A front desk administrator will receive your call, or you can email the front desk administrator on chs.sss@ukzn.ac.za, and they'll also assist you in securing your appointment. So yeah, with that being said, you're not expected to deal with many of these stresses on your own. You have a team available to be there as a guide and support, and offer free professional and confidential counseling. And we're available during office hours, and with our sessional counselors, they offer late afternoons and Saturday sessions. We also have the support from SADAG. They have just released a whole bunch of new support groups across the country. So go ahead on over to their website and go and have a look and apply to join as a support group member. They also have the SADAG contact numbers. They've got helpline, the suicide crisis line, the mental health helpline that you can contact on. We also have the medical students and young doctors helpline, which is on 0800 323 323 that you may contact on. There is a WhatsApp line as well. So if you want to tweak some strategies and it's late at night and you feel a little overwhelmed, you can go and WhatsApp them on that number, 087-163-2030. Maybelline's also partnered with SADAG in launching this WhatsApp counseling line, and it aims to create more safe spaces for people dealing with depression and anxiety, and allows you to reach out for help. And I think that's such an amazing opportunity and access to professionals to assist you in, especially in moments when you're feeling overwhelmed and unbalanced in those areas of your life. So with that, I thank you, and I am now going to be opening the floor for any questions and comments. Thank you. Yay.
Thank you so much, Sue. You know, I have not screenshotted so much in a long time. I need to remember this quote. This is how you do a routine properly. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me take notes. Oh, screenshot. So that's been my last, 40 minutes now. Thank you very much. The session has been incredibly informative. I'm brought back to your comments in the very beginning, where you asked about rating your level of balance. And I know I put my little number in the chat section. And I'd like to change my number based on everything that you just said. But I thought it might be useful for the rest of the participants. I know there were quite a few that joined a little bit late after that initial discussion. So what Sue asked in the beginning was to rate your level of balance on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is it's pretty bad, or negative numbers already as well. She's seen that already. And 10 is pretty good. I'm well balanced. And then I figured it might be worthwhile just to take a moment to consider what aspect of balance that Sue mentioned you might need to consider focusing more on. She mentioned sleep and social participation, self-care, your studies, your research, more rest, the environment, leisure. What aspect of it would you need to consider to improve your balance? I put this in the chat as well, and that's been an eye-opener for me. That there are key elements, that you can help consider to tease things apart and make a nice list, so you just don't feel so overwhelmed by everything at once. That's been my experience. So yes, please take a moment to consider. If there are any questions or comments, please pop them in the chat. I see we do have one from Andre. Andre says my current level is probably around 5 at the moment. Yeah, you can work your way up to 5. Have you figured out what it is, Andre, that you may need to work on in particular to achieve that wonderful quote of happiness that Sue mentioned towards the end?
Wow.
Morning, everyone. I think my challenge is right now I'm at this data analysis phase of my project, and I mean every day I do a little bit, but some days I'm wondering if I actually enjoy the day, um, you know, that, that, that's it. Bearing in mind, you're working and you're studying, and still have a family.
Yeah.
Um, and that's I can, sometimes I feel it, but I'm battling through, I would say.
We feel it with you, Andre. This the concept of balancing family and still trying to succeed within the academic sphere. It can be lonely, it can be isolating, it can feel crippling at times, but you're not actually enjoying what you're doing. I know what I'm talking about. you I think what Sue mentioned, and what's also really helped me in practice, I've been where you are. I've experienced that focusing on the end game, that does help. Knowing why it is you're doing this in the first place, and knowing that it is going to be benefiting not only you but your family in the long run, it adds a lot to pushing that happiness. I don't know, Sue, would you like to comment? And I know Nandi also, you had your hand up. You might want to add to Andre's point.
Absolutely. And I kind of, and you touched on it a little bit earlier, Lanine, like you might find in one area I'm super balanced and super focused on it. And I'm, doing well with a particular area such as work, but then I'm finding myself bringing work home, and then the family space kind of gets impacted, as an example. And it's kind of like being kind to yourself when that happens, to say that sometimes that will happen, but what am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to shift or put into place to have a better handle over that? So it's kind of like an appropriate compromise. Maybe one day a week that's allowed, so that 5 or that 4 that we rate ourselves in kind of becomes a little more manageable, and it grows. It increases in a rating, because you start finding yourself less burdened by that compromise. You also find yourself um, finding pockets of time where you get to do the other things, because now you're pushed on Monday night and you got all the work done, and Tuesday you get to have movie night with the family. So it's kind of like in a space of a week, how well balanced are you? So it's kind of like, yeah, there will be moments where it's difficult. Yeah.
Thank you, Susan.
Such a pleasure.
Nandi, you had your hand up. Do you want to comment, to add on?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, colleagues. Yeah, I think as I was just listening to Sue, such a wonderful and very informative presentation. I think as I was listening to her, especially on the slides of the tips of how to um, keep a routine, I think I was trying to just reflect on my own helpful tools that helped me whilst I was doing masters. And I think I agree with you in saying that it's not always going to be perfect. But it's best, to just keep committing. The more you commit to trying to better your routine, the better you become at it. So I think I remember what helped me the most was just being mindful in how I managed my environment. It really brought a sense of inspiration and a sense of, just setting the tone of helping me to focus better when I'm, engaging in my academics. And I think that does bring a sense of balance on, okay, if I'm in this, for instance, if you're at home, it would bring a balance of, if you're in the lounge or if you're in a bedroom, then it means that that's you attending to your personal life, right? And if you have like a study area somewhere, then that's you now entering a different section of your life, which is your academic life. So yeah, I think there are moments where I've tried to work at a restaurant just to bring in a new scenery, and I think it also bringing in a new scenery does help. It adds on into bringing new sense of inspiration. Yeah, I've tried so many different areas, and some areas didn't work for me, but some I actually found that they do. So it helps to declutter the environment and just decide on which environment you'll be working in.
Thank you, Nandi. And, listening to you speak about that, it reminds me that it's tough. It really is tough to get yourself back into a good balance. And, for various reasons, that happens. It could be some major personal issue that just knocks you off course, and it's difficult to focus on anything. Your professional life starts suffering, and the equilibrium is just gone. And it's difficult to work through that and get back to that balance. So I can speak about a personal experience that happened to me over December. It's taken me months. I think today was the first time that I actually had a run in the morning, and feeling, getting back into the habit of the routine of setting my mind right in the morning, getting that clarity to start my day, making sure that I'm more centered so that I can help other people along my path, my students, the people I work with, attack my workload because I'm centered. Wooly and Christine mentioned it last week, the airflow. You need to look after yourself, give yourself some oxygen, falling plane before you can help somebody else. It's tough, but it's very important to also focus on self-care after you realize what the issues actually are. Those have been the two main factors that assisted me to maintain a good balance, knowing what the issue is and ultimately getting myself in gear to get my balance back. It's difficult to speak about, to get back to that balance, but through an aspect of self-care, which I knew was one of the aspects of balance that was a big problem for me. You said it yourself, so you forget about yourself. You focus on everybody else, and then you can't help anybody, including yourself, because of that.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing a little bit more on your personal journey and trying to reset and getting back into a bit of a routine so that you can feel yourself again. Feel like you've got a handle on life again. And it's again that reminder of when you catch yourself not being a 5 or a 6 out of 10 and you decrease, and it's kind of like, well, what can I start doing or add to my routine that I used to do that allowed me to feel like it's just enough, not that I'm feeling overwhelmed or that there's no effort and I'm just procrastinating. It's kind of like finding that balance again. So thank you for sharing, Amin. And yeah, anyone else that would like to share? We still got a little bit of time that we can unpack this idea of managing this balance. Life happens, there's many potholes on the journey, and using something like a routine can make it a little easier to kind of get things done, to enjoy the hard to do things and to enjoy the nice things. Let's see if there's anything else, anyone that would like to share. So while you're thinking about sharing, may your rating out of 10 ever increase and find a good balance. And we've got a hand. Hi. Hi, Unan. Let's see.
Yeah, we did have a
Hi,
hand.
good afternoon. Yeah, how can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, when speaking of balancing my time, also the meals, and also the resting time, I find it difficult sometimes, because when I'm overwhelmed by workload, at times I find it to be time consuming to go for meals or even maybe resting. You find that maybe I work until late in the evening, wake up very early in the morning. Um, is that not going to impact on my study time as well as my health?
Absolutely. You're touching on such important things like the consequences of. So we find ourselves in a situation, whether it's work, study, or personal life, that is a stressor. And that's the kind of impact that it will have. It will impact how we function on a daily basis, our levels of productivity, our enjoyment. And when it impacts that way, there are further consequences. We compromise on our quality of sleep. We stop doing things that used to revitalize and energize us. And then the next day you will start finding yourself, but hang on, I'm not as focused as I should be, or I'm reading a text and I'm not concentrating. I'm not understanding what I read yesterday, or I don't remember, my memory is failing. So absolutely, and that's what this idea of a routine is meant to do, to allow you to better manage the time that you have set aside for certain things. And for example, if you're setting time to sit down and read, it allows you to create a good structure while reading. And it says there that if you're setting time like 2 hours to sit down and read, what are you going to be doing? Okay, I'm going to be reading the first paragraph and I'm going to interpret that. I'm going to talk about it to myself. And then 2 hours later, I then progress to the next task. I don't, perseverate or keep doing something that I know, okay, I now need to stop. I move on to the next task. I'm still kind to myself to say I still have other things to do. What I haven't finished now, I'll do it again later. But I'm not avoiding it. I'm not procrastinating. I'm getting a little bit of something done, especially when the fatigue is high, when the burnout is creeping up. No matter what you're going to be doing, you're not going to be productive. So rather do a little bit of something. I do hope that helps. But if you want to tweak a little bit more, you can contact us.
Good. Could I add
Thank you,
more
help.
to that?
Thank you, satisfied. Thank you.
I'm glad, Sue, that you brought up this concept of procrastination and reasons for procrastination. I think your very first one was the fear of failure. I mean, we see that so often, for example, within the academic sphere as a student, you might not feel like what you've written is good enough. Your supervisor shouldn't see it, and you stress, you obsess, it can get you so down and cripple you, and suddenly you get into the spiral of, oh, I'm never going to do this. And you just go down, down, down that path, and the balance just goes way out of whack. You know what you need to do, but it's so difficult to get into a routine and get out of that fear of failure that's preventing you from procrastination. How could we avoid that?
That's a very good question. And I think when you catch yourself doing it, that's that alarm bell. It's okay, have that self talk to say, okay, I've caught myself doing something that I promised myself not to do, to watch a series episode when I'm meant to be doing something else. And just challenge yourself. Why am I doing this? Am I avoiding something? Am I overworked? Am I tired? And just by understanding why we're delaying something will give you greater insight as to what you can do about it. It gives you an idea around strategies you can put in place for yourself. If, for example, you realize, hang on, I'm disorganized, I don't know where to start, and it's easier just to go and visit my friends as opposed to sitting down doing my research, that tells you what you need to put into place. So let me get a little bit of order, or let me hop onto the support group and chat a little bit more about how do I get order back into my life when I have no order, or like in terms of writing, how do I get started, how do I build motivation. So allow yourself that introspection time. It's a good place to start. So Elliot says, I think emotional and social support are important. Absolutely. And it's the basis for balancing work, study, and personal life. I love that you've touched on that. Having the support and knowing someone has your back, having cheerleaders at both work, home, and someone that is rooting for you is so motivating, encouraging, and just keeps you going.
I love that concept, because you know what, it feeds into the topic for our next 2 sessions about mentorship and the importance of having a mentor, a guide, and in some aspects a cheerleader sometimes, to help you navigate what can be a very crazy period within your academic journey. So that is, I guess, now that I think of it, quite an important aspect of maintaining your balance, having that support structure, and the guidance and the path and the clarity of a goal, and working with routines to achieve that goal with the assistance of a mentor. Yes, I see it. So look forward to the next 2 sessions where I would be hosting discussions about mentorship, what it's about, how to find a mentor, how to maintain the relationship, to get the most out of it, to assist you in meeting your specific academic goals. Sue, thank you so much for today's discussion. I took a lot out of this, so I'm assuming that there are many others who feel the same way. Please yes, thank you so much for the applause there, and the comments within the chat box, and all the positive participation. Thank you for your assistance today, Sue, and the SSS team. Work, life, and study balance. We're going to do it this year, not just in January, every month, and going forward, refreshes. So thank you again to the team. Thank you for all the participation within the support group. And we'll see you again next week for Mentorship 101. Thank you. Take care.